All right, now we're on to number four, and this one we can tackle pretty quickly. This one is asking for a LIFO reserve adjustment. If it has a beginning balance of $50, then provide the entry to adjust the account for the end of December. And we're going to use parts of number one and number three to answer. And what I mean by that, or the simplest way, really the only way, and it's pretty simple, is to map the LIFO reserve account. If it started at a $50 credit balance, then let's look where it needs to end up. Remember, this balance is the difference between non-LIFO and LIFO inventory. So this was the difference between those two costs at the beginning of the period. We have the information for their ending inventory at the end of the period. For LIFO, it was 5,237.50. And for our average cost, actually, I don't believe we calculated it. Or no, we did. Sorry. My bad. We had to because it was periodic. 5,346 is our ending inventory under that method. We take the difference of these two. And this is now the ending balance that I want for my LIFO reserve. So in order to get my LIFO reserve from 50 to 108, I'm going to need to adjust it by an adjusting entry that credits LIFO reserve because I need a credit. And the amount of the credit I need is $58.50. That'll take my beginning balance up to the ending balance. And I debit cost of goods sold. In order to make it happen. And that's really all you need to make that adjusting entry to the LIFO reserve account. Now for the last one, we're calculating another adjustment. So this is an adjusting entry, and then there's another adjustment that we need to consider, and that is the lower of cost or market, lower of cost or net realizable value. So it's asking us to do this on a per unit basis and then apply that estimate to the remaining units to determine whether we need to do a write down. And it's asking us for the LIFO perpetual method. So remember that when we're doing lower of cost or market or net realizable value, we do LC net realizable value, lower of cost or net realizable value. That's for our non-LIFO. And LCM is for LIFO. So we want to do lower of cost or market since we're doing LIFO perpetual. And for LIFO, remember the market value is going to be determined by looking at the ceiling, otherwise known as the net realizable value, the current replacement cost, CRC, or the floor. And we want to take the median of these three values. We get some information about those prices up here in the problem. It says that at December 31st, when we'd be making this other adjusting entry, the estimated selling price of the inventory per unit is 28, and we have to, in order to sell it, we have to spend $2 disposal costs. So that makes the NRV $26 because it's the estimated selling price less any cost to sell. The current replacement cost is $14 per unit. Right? We use that for our inventory profits even. And then it says the expected gross margin is 11. And what we do with that gross margin, we use it to calculate the floor. because what the floor becomes is just the NRV minus the expected GM, which is gross profit. Okay, so the NRV here was 26. We have an expected gross margin of 11. And so we have a floor of 15. I take the median of these three values, which means I'm going with the floor. This is the price per unit that I would want to assess the inventory at under LIFO perpetual. So, given that I'm using LIFO perpetual, I apologize, because we're using LCM. If we were using LCNRV, we look at this instead. So we got $15. This is our market value. We're going to multiply that by the number of units we had. Because remember, that's a price per unit. And so I have 15 at 450. I mean, I can tell you we're not going to have to do it right down here. So at market value, this would be the dollar value of my ending inventory at market. What is the dollar value of my ending inventory under LIFO? Right? I pulled that to calculate what I needed for the LIFO reserve. So I can just pull it here. So this is my cost, right? The lower of cost or market. And this is what my inventory account is at now. So if I want to make this balance, the inventory balance, the lower of the cost or the market, am I already there? Yeah, I'm already at the lower of those two. So there is no write down necessary. So we don't have to make an entry. If we did, if it was necessary, just remember most companies will put this to COGS and then credit the inventory account. Some will do inventory write down. There's a lot of different names for it, honestly, but whatever name it has, it does the same thing. It reduces my net income, whether we call it cost of goods sold or some version of inventory loss, and also reduces my inventory.